Welcome to Women Investor Wednesdays. How are you today?
Good. How are you, Beth?
And you're in Florida. I'm in Florida. We're
We're
so
living the
blessed.
dream.
Well, we're living the dream. I was in New York last week and it was 33 with a wind chill of 13. So,
Oh, no,
no,
nobody got time for that. Not
yeah,
me.
I'm so happy I'm back home. But before we launch into your story, which, hey, audience, buckle in.
Buckle up. Yeah, buckle up. It's going
Buckle
to be
up
a
and
wild ride.
buckle in, yeah. So I just want to share in case there's any new audience members that don't know what the heck I'm doing here. During COVID, I had learned that of all of the investors in commercial real estate, only 3% were women. And of that, half were in either inherited or women signing on their spouse's guarantee. And I thought, that's crazy. That means I'm part of 1.5%, which I thought was terrible, but I didn't believe it. So I started asking all my girlfriends who, by the way, are in the commercial real estate industry, do you invest? Yes. Well, where do you invest? The stock market. No. Wait a minute. Like, you rep Starbucks, you take a site you find a site to put Starbucks in, and then you hand the deal over and you don't
Yeah.
ask to put equity in the deal. And they're like, oh, we didn't know that we could do that. Or I don't have $1 million. And so
Yeah.
the more I asked, the more frustrated I got. And I would debunk, like, you don't need $1 million. It's
Yeah.
not as complicated as the stock market, right? But then I got down to, well, I don't know any other women doing it. I'm like, aha,
Yeah.
that's a problem I'm going to try to solve. So I did a virtual summit where I interviewed 8 women like you. They went into breakout rooms where they talked about how they underwrote deals and how they flipped deals and bought deals and all that. It was a great success. And since then, I've done 4 live events, but I cap them at 250. And the reason I do that is because what I'm seeing now that I'm going to have my 6th one in March, women are investing with each other in the room, like 80 to 90 of them. And I believe it's because of the intimacy and the trust that's built year after year. They see the same women. But I realized that originally my goal was to take the 3% to 10%. And then last year, super smart person here decides that the theme is think bigger. And I changed the 10% to 30. So I realized
nice.
I've got to double down. Like, I've got to get to more women. So I said, you know what, let me do a weekly podcast where I can interview 50 women instead of 8 to 10 once a year at a conference. So that's why you're here, because you're a female investor like me. But before we get to that, I think I've interviewed over 200 women.
Wow.
And I have never been more excited about talking about someone's W-2. And I know it's not a W-2, but you know what I mean? Today money as an entrepreneur. And I don't know if I really want to hear all the details, speaking of gory, but let's start with your story. And you guys, I'm telling you, buckle up.
Yeah, for sure. So, right out of college, I got into law enforcement, and being very few females, speaking of, 3%, I don't know what percentage of women are in law enforcement, but it ain't many, I'll tell you that. I was immediately courted to start doing undercover prostitution and undercover narcotics. So I did that for several years, probably undercover narcotics I did for 2 years, and undercover prostitution I probably did for about 4 years. And I'll tell you what, I grew up very sheltered compared to what I saw and what I learned there. I had a lot of fun in the job, but I think going to undercover narcotics just kind of really sucked the life out of me. I lost really all faith in humanity after you see stuff like that. And um,
I'm sorry.
I really, it changed me, and I became very jaded, constantly looking over my shoulder. The department that I work for, in their infinite wisdom, required us to live in the city that we worked in. And I'm undercover. So I couldn't even go to the grocery store without, worrying about it. I would have to drive out of town or so, it just was not a good decision on my part. And I did it, and in retrospect, because I was trying to prove myself. As women, we have to work twice, three times as hard to get the same, respect and accolades that our male counterparts get. So, I was doing that because there was no other female in undercover narcotics. I was the only one.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was challenging to say the least. So, that's when I kind of started thinking, I was only making $40,000 a year, risking my life in undercover, working in law enforcement, and I was like, I had one of those days where I was like, what the hell am I doing? I'm buying crack cocaine, I'm buying meth, I'm buying marijuana off the streets, risking my life for 40 grand a year. And I was paycheck to paycheck because I had to have a roommate. And I had a roommate the entire time I was in law enforcement because we didn't get paid enough to live on our own. So I started to kind of think, I need something better. I'm not going to create wealth by doing this. There's no amount of overtime that I could work that's going to create that wealth for me. So I quickly realized I had no transferable skills at that point because, how do you translate law enforcement to anything else? So I went back at night and got my MBA. And I thought that would open doors for me. But really, what it did is it showed me a side of the world that I had never seen. Again, I was very jaded. I saw the darkest part of the world. And here I am sitting next to bankers and marketing people and real estate executives and just all these other high level people that are making 10 times what I'm making. And I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? I kind of like, why did I go the path that I did? So it really just kind of broadened my horizons on the capability, what I had. So got my MBA and I'm racking my brain. What kind of business am I going to start? Where do I even go? And I couldn't figure it out. And I started to get very, very frustrated with myself, not being able to pinpoint. I'm working my day job as a cop, and every minute that I had off, I'm literally researching like what kind of business can I do? I didn't have a pot to piss in, so I couldn't buy a franchise. I couldn't invest in something that was very capital intensive. So that was out. So I really didn't have a lot of choices. So one day I'm working a homicide, and the mother of the victim, her son had just been shot in the head, assassin style, on the couch. I am just at the door there, kind of, holding the crime scene type thing. And the mother comes up to me at the very end and she says, "Can I ask when you guys are coming back to clean this up?" And I was like, we don't do that. And she's like, "Then who does?" And I'm like, "I have no idea, but I'm going to find out." And it was the light bulb moment for me that I thought, wait a minute, that's a business? 7 years in law enforcement. And I thought, no one has ever asked me that questions. And I'd worked hundreds and hundreds of homicides, suicides, unattended deaths, accidents. I've worked tons of them, right? And no one had asked me who's going to clean that up. So then I could not stop thinking about it and her question. Went to homicide, went to CSI, and I'm like, who does this? And they were very flippant about it, I have to say. They were very like, we don't know, we don't care. It's not our job. Typical cop response.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you can't possibly expect these people to clean up after their own child was murdered. And they just went like that.
Mm.
So I was like, wait a minute, I got to look into this because that I've been around it so much that I'm literally numb to it.
Right.
So it didn't
Right.
bother me. So I thought, is this a business? I don't know. So I started doing a little bit of research. And again, this was 2005, right before YouTube even came out. So
Right.
I didn't
I need to
have the
stop you for
luxury.
one. Hold on.
Yeah.
How, were your parents in law enforcement? How did you get into law enforcement? And you said you went for your master's, so you had your undergrad.
Yes. So, yeah, let me back up a little bit. My father was a high level DEA agent.
Got it.
So, when I went to college, undergrad, I went to University of Tennessee in Knoxville, and I graduated in criminal justice. I thought this is going to be fun. My dad makes good money, but he's in the feds. That's very, very different than kind of local law enforcement. So that's kind of the path that I was taking unknowingly because I wasn't exposed to anything. I
And
had never even met.
your parents never said, you ain't making any money as a cop, honey. That never
Nope.
said it.
Nope.
Were you
It
thinking
was
were you thinking law school at some point or no?
Yeah, I did. So
Yeah,
I thought, what can I do with this? I'm going to prove myself at the local PD, and I'm either going to go to school or go to the feds.
got it.
Well, and then everything
Yeah.
took a big
Okay.
turn,
All right.
obviously.
So now so did you go and Google? There was Google then. Did you
There
say
was.
crime scene cleanup
Yes,
people?
I
And
did.
were there any?
There was a couple in California. There was like one in Arizona and one in Texas. And I was in Kansas City at the time. So I cold called the guy in Texas. And I said, this is going to sound crazy. I know you have a crime scene cleanup company. I'm a cop in Kansas City. I'm thinking about starting this company. And I was wondering if you could train me. And we still talk to this day, 20 years later. And he says, as a matter of fact, I'm moving into training people. And I said, perfect. How much? He said, it's a week program. I'll teach you what you need to know. And I think he was $2,500 at the time, 20 years ago. That is all I had in my savings account was $2,500. And I said, fuck it. I took days off. I paid him the $2,500 and I spent 5 days in Dallas learning how to clean up crime scenes. Now, he did a fantastic job at the actual act of cleaning up crime scenes, mattresses, lampshades, wood, everything, all that. What he did a terrible job at was there was absolutely zero business training. So, how do you charge? How do you estimate? Who do you bill? Who pays you? All that I left going, okay, well, now I know how to do it, but how the hell do I find the work? So I had to essentially create that opportunity myself, and I had no more money left. So I went back and I met a guy in the class that was from Oklahoma, and he said, hey, I'll give you my business plan. Just put your information on it. He goes, he had a partner. He said, we just got a $150,000 loan to start up the business. I said, holy shit, here I am pumped. I go back to Kansas City. I get the business plan edited, put my name on it, and this whole thing, my information. I walk into the first bank. 15 minutes later, I'm back in my fucking car after he said, this isn't a business. We're not loaning on this. Then I went to 4 banks total, and they all basically said, fuck off. So I go back home, and I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do? I just took this training, and I call my new friend in Oklahoma, and I said, am I saying the wrong thing? Like I did the same thing you did, the same exact thing. And he goes, I don't understand why you didn't get the loan. And then the light bulb went off in my head. And I'm like,
Vagina.
oh, I get
Vagina.
it. It's the vagina syndrome. That's what it is. It's the vagina syndrome. So, and of course, he was like, what the fuck is that? He, of course, straight white male, never had any adversity in his life. So I thought, okay, I need to get creative here. And mind you, my business experience is very limited at this time. So, after I, eat cake on the couch for a while and bitch about how bad my luck is, I thought, wait a minute. I own this. Well, I didn't own it outright. The bank owns it, but I'm living in a house that I own with a roommate. I could take a HELOC out. And I thought, looking around my shitty house, I'm like, what does it need? Windows. Okay. So I go to the next bank that I had not been to prior. I made sure that it was a different one. It was US Bank. And I said, I need a home equity loan to get new windows. They wrote me a check for 15 grand. I'm like, well, it was 10% of what my friend got, but I made that shit work, let me tell you. So I took that 15 grand and I bought equipment, chemicals, PPE, and I started doing my own PR. I was calling all the newspapers, the magazines in the area, and the headline was Cop Starts Crime Scene Cleaning Business. And I got all this free media. So then I'm like, okay, now how do I get sales? I don't have any money for marketing. I didn't have a website, so I guess I'm going door to door. I remember I don't know if you remember, you used to be able to print out your own postcard or business cards, and they had that perforated edge on them. Oh yeah, that was me. Printed out my own business cards. They look like shit. I wish I would have kept one. And showing up to the apartment complexes, hotels, all that. I went door to door every minute that I was not working my cop job. I went door to door to get it.
You did, and you like I would have thought. I'm obviously a cold caller, right? I'm the canvassing queen, as everyone knows.
Yep.
I would have just called all the cops. Like I would have called all the police stations saying, "Hey, I can clean up your messes."
I knew from being a cop, we're not allowed to refer anybody.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
whether it be a funeral home or a tow truck company, nothing.
I can't. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense, right? That makes
Yeah.
sense.
But what I did do is network with my colleagues. Like, hey, the next homicide you have, drop this card off. This shitty perforated one here.
and you didn't have to keep it from the department that you were out doing the side hustle.
No, and that's funny that you bring that up because that's where shit went south. Okay. So I got permission to start the company on the side. And the deal that we made was that I would not solicit business in the city that I was a cop in. So I could work in the surrounding areas. So I agreed to that, knowing that whatever, I would agree to anything because I knew that it was a means to an end. So I was probably 3 months into it, and they decided to do a bait and switch on me. They called me into the department and they said, you know what? We changed our mind. We don't want you doing this business anymore. And at that time, I only had 2 jobs under my belt. And I just said, you know what? Fuck you. I quit. Everyone thought I had lost my fucking mind. I had 7 years in law enforcement at that time, 2 freaking jobs under my belt, so no revenue. And they were like, their mouth was just like, I can't believe she just fucking did that. And I said, I'll be back to turn in my shit. And I put all my shit in a garbage bag, including my gun, unloaded, and brought it in a black garbage bag and said, bye, bitches, and loaded up my car and moved to Florida.
So why Florida?
Because I went to high school here. This was my home, and everyone comes to Florida to die. It's the perfect place.
Okay, so, oh my gosh, Laura, I know. I promise we're going to get to real estate, but I am not losing opportunity here.
Yes.
So your first 2 jobs, you pulled it out of your butt on pricing, or the Oklahoma guy helped you with the pricing? Like what?
No, I pulled it out of my ass. So I charged $250 an hour.
Okay. And how long did each job take? Do you remember?
Way fucking longer than it should have because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So the first one was and I don't know if this is still the case, but Salvation Army used to have, and they may still do, I just am not aware, high-rise apartments where they put people, they take them from homeless and put them in there. So one guy, I guess, died and decomposed on the recliner. And I don't know how this lady found me, but when I finally met her, she was exasperated. I've been looking for help everywhere. And I said, well, sorry, I don't have a website. And or anything else for that matter. I was using my cell phone, for anything. And so anyway, I go to clean this up, and I don't even remember what I charged for it, but it was way not enough for what the job was. And let me tell you something. I look like, can I cuss on this?
What, you have been, so
okay. All right. Well, it's about to get worse. Okay. So I'm just saying, I look like a monkey fucking a football trying to get a recliner down the elevator by myself. Okay. So it was insane. And I was like, I felt like I just went through a CrossFit workout, right? Trying to get this damn recliner. Like, it's so big. Then the next job was a double homicide. And that one took me like 4 days to do it. It was 2 cousins on Christmas Day that shot each other.
Oh, no. Terrible.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So
nothing like pass the ham, shoot your cousin. Right? Yeah.
Okay. So how long, now I promise we're going to start getting into real estate. How long have you had the crime cleanup business?
Today?
As of today, how long have you had?
Oh, 20 years. This is my 20th year.
And I know you are a franchisor and sell licenses, right?
Yep, sell
So
franchises.
do you have any of do you do it yourself? I know you don't do it yourself anymore, but do you have people that do it yourself, or you only are now a franchisor?
I'm only really a franchisor now. Yeah, I have
How, how
people that
long
do
did
the
it
cleanup.
take to get out of doing it and just selling franchises?
Way too fucking long. So, you remember I bootstrapped this company. So every bit of profit went back into the company. So I started in 2005, 2006, with the end of it was like November 1st. I quit my job in the first quarter of 2006, rented my house out, packed my shit up and moved to Florida. And then I didn't franchise until 2016.
So you did it, and then you hired people, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So tell everyone how many followers you have on YouTube.
So YouTube, we have about 1.5 million subscribers, and that should tell you the level of psycho we have in this country. Okay, they love my content because it's true crime is very popular, and we don't censor our content. So we have like almost 4.5 million on TikTok that just love this shit. Let me tell you, everybody, your listeners need to take a look at the human crockpot. Did you see that one?
No,
It's the human crockpot. A lady died in a hot tub and decomposed, and it looks like a
no,
giant
no.
crockpot.
Okay, all right. So how many
Yeah.
franchisees do you have?
So I stopped franchising in 2023 because I don't enjoy adult babysitting.
Yeah.
So I had 75. Now
Mhm.
I'm down to 7 because I terminated a bunch of them for lying, cheating, and stealing.
Okay, so are you getting out of this business?
I'm actually probably tomorrow getting ready to sell the entire thing. So by the time this is aired, we will have been acquired. And I am so excited.
It'll be exercised. Good, congratulations. Well,
Yes,
but it's
thank you.
what a wild ride and what a great story.
Holy shit. It's been a wild ride. Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about why we're here, why the
Okay.
audience is here. But absolutely, I can absolutely confidently say this is the most entertaining of all of my 200 Women in Real Estate Wednesday podcasts. Okay, so real estate. So you owned a house, you had a roommate, you got a HELOC, you rented the house, you moved to Florida. Let's talk about what was the second real estate investment that you made and
Okay,
when?
so I have always been obsessed with real estate, but again, that limiting mind that I have no money, this must be something that I can't get into, that type of thing. So, like millions of other people, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad when I was about 23. I had just graduated college, and I'm like, I'm gonna fucking do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to figure it out, but I'm going to do that. So, the slow learner that I am, I was able to merge my crime scene company with my love of real estate, and I started buying crime scene houses. Yeah.
I did not see that coming. I was thinking she could probably buy some of those houses. I did not see that coming. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, because I'm watching for friends and neighbors, this show with John Hamm, where he's stealing people's shit. And and there's a guy dead in a house, and they said, "Oh, I bet that house is gonna sell for a discount now." There was a dead guy in it. So
Yeah.
okay. So
So the beautiful thing is most real estate investors are paying a fortune to get leads, and I'm getting them for free, right? So people are calling me to clean up dead granny, and I'm like,
I know what your next career is. You know what I'm gonna say?
no, I don't. I know. No, no way.
You have a whole routine. You can just
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
story after story. Okay, so you had
yeah.
a dead granny.
So, daughter Susie is calling me to clean up her dead mom. And when I'm there, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to give you a quote to clean this up, but what's your plan with the house? And she said, I got to get this cleaned up and then sold. We live in Michigan. We're not, taking this house and it's 55 plus, whatever. So I said, why don't I just make you an offer to buy it cash and you don't have to pay me to clean up the dead person? And she's like, fucking deal. And then the business was born that day. It was born.
How many? This is why I don't prep before.
You never know what's going to come out of my mouth.
What? Oh my God. How many dead people's houses did you buy?
Oh shit. Well, a lot. I would say between 75 and 100 since 2016. And I did a combination. I wholesaled some, I fixed and flipped some, and then I kept I own 12 right now that I kept.
So Laura and I had a call a few months ago because Laura
Yeah.
wanted to talk to me about industrial. I knew none of this. She goes, I have a
Yes.
bunch of houses. I want to flip them into industrial. And I'm just talking to her. I knew that. I didn't know they were dead people's houses.
No.
We had a very short time to talk. And I
Yes.
just was like, this is what I would do. But okay, so 12 dead people's houses you still have.
Well, and hoarders. It's a combination. So
Oh,
sometimes it's hoarders and dead people. I have a great one that I love that I lovingly refer to as Pet Cemetery. I call this house Pet Cemetery because it had 25 dead animals in it
oh no.
and even more buried in the backyard, and then 2 dead humans in it, and it was a hoard. So I got this lovely property for the whopping price of 40 grand. I put 100 into it, and it's worth about 320 today.
Okay. It has to take an unbelievably unique human being
Yes.
to open the door to that house and be able to do a job that, I mean, what a service that you guys, that this
Oh, yeah.
industry provides. I can't even imagine.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was so bad, the family couldn't even walk in. They said, here's the key, we'll wait outside.
I believe it. I
Yeah.
couldn't do it. I couldn't do
And
it.
I had to have a flashlight. It was so hoarded up to the ceiling, no daylight could come through. So all of a sudden, I'm walking through, and thank God I wear these muck boots. I hear squish, squish, squish. And I'm thinking, holy shit, what is that? And she's like, oh, it must be a sewer backup from the bathroom. I'm like, oh, this house is perfect.
Okay.
I love it.
How much did that cost? How much would you charge to clean up a hoarder with dead animals?
Oh, that house would have cost between $20,000 and $30,000 to clean up.
At least, right?
At least,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, so oh my gosh. So you did some wholesaling.
Yep.
You did some fix and flips.
Yep.
You still have 12. You're going to get rid of the business tomorrow.
Whoop, whoop.
What are you going to do with the 12?
So I am, since obviously I'm getting out of the crime scene cleaning business and the good fortune of having all those free leads, I'm actually going to have to pay for leads like everyone else now. So I'm going to stay in real estate, probably do a lot of wholesaling. And I think what I want to do with my residential is 1031 them into a large commercial property. But I want something that has multiple tenants so that I'm, insulated against vacancies and stuff. Plus, they pay the insurance and the taxes, which I'm getting hammered with on the residential side.
Yes. So are you, so that could be industrial, that could be multifamily,
Yeah.
that could be retail.
Yep.
Do you have a preference of which one?
Well, not really. So what I've been doing a little bit of research, and kind of what I'm seeing is industrial is kind of really booming right now. And so is medical offices. They tend to stay for a long time. But then again, I consider myself a novice when it comes to commercial real estate. So I'm really just learning everything.
And are you wanting to buy in the Tampa area?
I'd like to, just because I'm pretty hands-on and I'd like to be able to touch it, feel it, see it.
That's good, because I think a lot of people, a lot of our listeners or watchers, viewers are from Florida.
Yeah.
So you may get a couple leads from the podcast that
Oh, that'd
people
be
have
awesome.
an industrial asset or medical or, retail, or we'll see, you never know.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Unbelievable. So,
It has
so
been a
we,
wild ride, Beth.
oh my gosh. So we met because we are both members of GoBundance women, women GoBundance, right?
Yep.
But well, I need to drive up to Tampa because you are just a ball of fun.
Yeah, thank you. We do. We are close enough to where we need to hang out more. And I have not been able to attend the functions that you attended, and I think vice versa. So my goal for 2026 is to attend much more of the GoBundance events and get to hang out with you.
And we'll just create maybe a Florida one. Okay, so before we
Oh,
wrap up and go off on all of these personal tangents,
yeah.
so 70% of our audience are investors in all different asset classes. 30% have not dipped their toe in. Of the 30%, they have money, they have fear, they haven't found the right thing. And some of them, I would say 10%, and I tell them at the conference, if you've been coming for 4 years and you still are afraid, don't come next year because this is too much for you. Just keep doing
Yeah.
mutual funds, right?
Tire kicking.
Yeah, but they're just the fear is overwhelming them, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not meant for everybody, right? It is risky, right? So
Hmm.
so what would be your advice to that 20% that will, they're overcoming their fear. They've got their shekels. I tell them, save your shekels. What's your advice to getting into the real estate
Yeah,
game?
you know what I would do if that was me in that position? I would partner up with somebody that has no fear, like myself, and somebody that's going to do basically all the work, teach you, do the due diligence, help you with all that stuff, and then you learn. That's the only way you're going to learn is by doing. And I think having a partner that's, super sophisticated and experienced in a particular area that you're interested in is honestly the way to go. And I didn't have that when I started my company. Of course, there was hardly any companies. I didn't even know that was a company. So now that I'm looking into, expanding my real estate portfolio, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to partner up with somebody that knows their shit, like you, Beth. And that's the best way to grow and get out of that. I find that it's kind of analysis paralysis. They'll sit there and do their due diligence on these deals, but they're terrified to pull the trigger. And I think the only way to do that is to have somebody that's more confident as your partner.
Right, for sure, for sure. Like I wouldn't know how to get into the crime scene business, but I could help you with
Exactly.
real estate.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, just do it though, really. I mean, again,
Yeah.
if you're scared to where you're sweating and you're nauseous, then this isn't for you. But if
Right.
you're just, unsure, you learn by doing. And that's what I say. I say,
Yep.
just be an LP in someone's deal and just put in 25 grand, be an LP and watch the GP's reports, watch the activity, see what happens. You'll learn so much, right?
Yes, absolutely. You do.
I bet you learned a lot when you did your first crime scene
Oh my
cleanup.
God. Yes. Yes. I'm telling you, if cameras were out then, that scene of me trying to carry a damn recliner by myself down the elevator was comical at best and
What
sweating
a
bullets.
life. What a life
Yeah,
you've had. And you have 3 little kids.
I do.
I mean, sometimes women say, "Well, I have kids," or "I'm too young," or "I'm too old," or "I have a
Never.
business," or right. Here's a story, big business, little kids, still and you at one point I think 30, 40, 80 houses. How many what was the peak of how many you had at one point?
They weren't all at the same time.
Right,
So
right.
as the crime scenes came in, I was closing about 1 in 10. So every crime scene that I went to, I would make the offer and I would get about 1 in 10.
Yeah. Well, what do you think was the max at one point that you had in your portfolio? 30, 20?
Yeah, probably 30,
Yeah,
right around there.
that's a lot and running a
Hell
business.
yeah, it was. And it was so much that I ended up starting a property management company just to take care of my own properties because I couldn't keep up.
Do you think once you get into commercial, and because you're still young, you're way younger than me, do you see yourself doing maybe training or coaching at your next level, maybe in something to do with real estate?
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely loved it. That was the only thing that I loved about franchising was the training and coaching.
I could
I
see that with you.
love,
I could see that with you.
yeah. I mean, I just, getting people past that hurdle of, fear or, to take massive action is absolutely rewarding for me. So yeah, I would love to do that.
Laura, what a pleasure. And thank you
Beth,
so
the
much.
pleasure was mine.
Thanks for being on Women Investor Wednesdays. I think we're going to get a lot of reposts of the views of this one. I hope you're going to come to the conference in March 4th through the 6th in South Florida. It's only a few hours south.
Send me the info. I'll be there.
Absolutely great. Okay. Thanks so much. Happy holidays.
My pleasure. Happy holidays.